Hey everyone, as mentioned in our daily financial news, we have two rock star experts that we talk to every Wednesday, and we are closing out strong with Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Reason you're one of my experts and we talk to you every week is because you get this unique view of everything going on in the mortgage market, right? I've got experts that do multifamily and single family and all this stuff, but like you're in it. You're seeing what owner occupants are doing, you're seeing what rules and regulations are changing. And oh, by the way, you go back a long time. So what I want to ask you today might be a controversial topic, but I think it's one that has to be had. And that is, could all this free money, home buyer tax credits and all this other stuff, grants at closing, be the start of what becomes the next housing crash? Because I see a lot of signs that are similar to what I experienced at the beginning of '05 that ultimately ended in the '08 crash. But maybe I'm just recency bias has me looking for those things. So maybe I'm off. But can all this free money lead to the next crash?
Yeah, I think so. And
Oh,
last time,
point blank. Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
right,
great.
right. I've got so much stuff buzzing around in my head on why so, but print it, fired out of a machine gun, and hope for the best. Um, type of thinking, and just for anybody who missed 2008 and all that, the problem then was it was way too easy to get money, so people could speculate and people could buy houses, and it didn't matter the price because a huge part of the problem back then that people don't talk about enough, Mike, is that you put money or credit in the hands of folks who don't have financial education, inevitably problems are going to happen. And that's why, like, around this whole Biden $25,000 thing, I just hope that there's something to do with financial education in there, because worst case scenario, you give people this opportunity and you say, we want to get certain demographics into housing at a higher rate.
Mhm.
And we want to equal the playing field for generations from certain demographics. That's a great idea. That's a great cause. I stand behind that. But if you take 100,000 18-year-olds who grew up with no financial education, give them a lotto ticket or give them $2 million bonus in the NBA, we already knows what happens. There's no financial education, and the stat I use from the NBA, because it's crazy. Something like a humongous 90+% within 5 years of retiring from the NBA are completely broke. And that's a different thing, but same idea. You give 100,000 people a $25,000 grant and get them to their first house. If they're not financially educated about everything to do with their finances, and they can't manage a budget, and they can't, foresee that there's going to be repairs and there's going to be other stuff, so that they're financially able to withstand one emergency every few years, it's going to just cause a crash where all these folks foreclose, and then you're mad because rich hedge funds are buying up all these foreclosures on these people that foreclosed, that got the
Yeah.
grant.
Yeah. This is why I think it absolutely could cause the next housing crash. Because again, I've been doing this 20 years and I saw this run up last time and I experienced it. And I remember seeing tenants that I would not approve to move into one of my apartments because their credit score was so low, their income was so low, were buying houses. And I remember being upset with my property manager going, how can we not approve an application, but they can buy a house? Something is wrong in our formula. Because I remember thinking, we can't be so strict, because if they could buy a house, certainly they could rent. Well, turns out that wasn't true. And
Right.
that's what I
Right.
see. And that's my biggest bugaboo with all of this is it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be only let's get people on the property ladder. That, with a period or an exclamation mark as the end of the sentence, can't be the goal. We have to get people on the property ladder and, or comma, or whatever you want to put there, semicolon, make sure they stay on the property ladder. Because I promise you, it is far worse for generations to have somebody get on and then get kicked out because they got foreclosed. That will stick with them. That will stick with their kids. That will stick with their brothers and sisters. That will hurt, well, far more people. And I say this, having experienced the crash, I saw people get wiped out. It is a horrible, stressful 6-month journey of agony, ultimately ending with you losing your home.
Right. And then after that
Idea.
6-month agony, you've got 5-7 years
Oh,
of credit woes. And if you can finance anything, you're paying 22% to finance a car. You can't buy a house. You have trouble renting. It's really bad. And that's why, I love using analogies, but you can't fix the homeless problem without fixing the mental health problem. You can't just stick people in houses and hope that, mental illness and drug addiction goes away. And it's the same thing with housing. Is you can't give somebody, oh, here's your ticket, all you needed was a down payment, now you're good. No, the financial education is the foundation, and so that's got to be fixed. And I don't know, people want a quick fix, and if our government's doing that, and they're not considering how to really truly help, it's teach someone to fish, not give them fish.
yeah. Well, I'll go as far as this. So again, everything I've read so far is a proposal. So if you know different, let me know. But everything I've read is a proposal. I just hope there's some kind of means testing or some kind of emergency fund requirement or something. I want these people to get on the ladder, but I want them to stay there. That's the big deal. Stay there for generations. Show the next generation that homeownership is good. Increase your net worth. Become an owner of assets. I just hope there's some means testing. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, because that just wasn't last time. There was no means testing. I mean, we joke now about liar loans and ninja loans and all of these things. It was true. I mean, if you could literally pick up a pen, you could have gotten a loan there at the last 6 or 9 months. It was horrible lending environment. I'm not saying we're going back there, but if you don't means test and make sure they can have a water heater blowout or a window break or something and not just destroy, I'm scared. And to be clear, if we don't have means testing, the next housing crash will probably be 2024 or 25, when we have another recession and one of the dual income parents or relationship loses their job and they'll lose their house. I mean, and then a bunch of hedge funds will come in and buy stuff in 2025 or 26. We've got to means test people.
Right. Yeah. Cause we want to help long-term. We don't just want a
Yeah.
quick fix where you can pump up numbers and go, oh, look, this demographic owns homes at a 54% homeownership rate. We brought them from, 37 to 54. Hooray for us. If that's not sustainable, it's not long-term, it doesn't help anybody. And like you said, it hurts those generations to come more than it helps. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, it's a draft. And so I'm interested to see what comes of it and how they update it and add and subtract things. One thing I will say is that something's got to change with the mindset, right? This thing gets announced and then everybody's just like, when does my free money arrive?
Oh my
And
God. Yeah.
unfortunately, like that's with all the stimulus and stuff, for whatever reason, we're conditioning people to just think of like, where is it for me? It's not like, how do I best prepare myself to buy a house with this or without? What can I do to improve my credit, to put some more money in the bank to that? It's like, where's the free money? The $1,400 stimulus, I got my Yeezys. Now I want the $25,000 grant to get me in a house. It's short-term thinking that doesn't help anybody. And I mean, if it's coming from the top down, you're hurting people more than you're helping them.
Yeah. I've done a couple of videos on this, and there's a lot of people that are just, I don't know, nasty, misinformed, whatever. Basically, why do they get it and I don't, kind of stuff. I'm like, man, I mean, we are kind of setting an interesting theme of just giving away stuff.
Well, yeah, we're already seeing the repercussions, where there's tons of jobs that need to be filled that can't be filled because people don't want to work.
Yeah.
People are just, they've got the free money, and that feels a lot nicer than having to actually go work for it. So that's probably a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to hit on this is, again, having experienced last time and looking at today, is in any market, and we obviously talk real estate on this channel, it's a supply demand problem. And it shouldn't be a shock to anyone right now that supply is low and demand is high. And that leads to price increases, right? Look at Case-Shiller, Core, Logic, all these people, double-digit expectations. If we add more reasons for demand and we haven't found a way to creatively address the supply, it will lead to another crash, because what'll happen is prices will go up, affordability will crash, lending will get even wonkier. And, where affordability is here, it'll be here. And, I've said many times, and it's in early parts of my books, when the affordability crash or affordability index crashes, problems ensue shortly thereafter in the next recession. So my hope is somebody up the top starts thinking about supply. How can we unlock supply? Because if we don't, this won't end well.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that there's no real focus on that. I hear it. I hear the buyer sentiment, seller sentiment, because I'm talking to people every day as a mortgage broker. And in my live on Monday, a couple people commented they're boomers and they want to downsize. It's just impossible. This market makes it impossible for them to sell and buy. If not impossible, so hard that they're discouraged and they don't want to do it. And so the 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that is in much need to all the people out there looking, all these families trying to relocate, is not being sold because it's so hard for this person to move forward. And
the boomer can't downsize.
Right. And it's the truth. And the stats show it. And so when I hear from people, it just confirms it. And that's, I love being a sounding board for all the, clients that I'm working with, because then I get to see and hear the stuff that I know from stats is going on. And then it confirms it, right? It's just, we need to do something to create the movement. Because right now people are landlocked, they're not moving, and that's causing supply issues. I think March's numbers were better for builders, so more buildings going on. But again, is it the right type of supply? Is it the entry level stuff where we need it and whatnot? Because me and you talked a little bit offline about how we can try to put policies in place to not just create more supply and create more movement, but to the right people. Do we want owner occupants to own at a higher level? Okay, let's incentivize people to sell to owner occupants. Let's do something with tax code. There's plenty of stuff that can be done if enough smart people get in a room and talk about it.
Yeah. So when I think about the question that kind of started this off is, could the government create the policies that inflate the housing market more and create the next crash? Like you said, the answer is black and white. Yes, they absolutely could. And frankly, right now, I think they're on a slippery slope. They have time to save themselves, but they're starting to slide down a slippery slope that will feel good for a couple of years, and then it won't feel very good in the next recession. So I'm a little concerned.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I'm at the swim club with everybody in the neighborhood who owns houses, they all feel great right now. Yeah. They just get to see $10,000 more in equity every single month because home prices are, going up at such a rapid pace. But for the people that are on the sidelines, the 87 people that I have pre-approved that are looking and bidding against 17 other people, and this 60,000 above asking with no appraisal contingency, and that didn't work, that gets frustrating. And that doesn't end well. Like you said, if we continue to just make it harder and harder and less affordable because we're pumping demand without looking at the supply side, it's going to be really ugly 22, 23, whenever. What is it? Comes to roost. What's the saying?
I don't know.
When something comes to
when
roost.
Trouble comes to roost. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
Yeah. And then every single YouTuber that's making all these crash videos will finally be right.
Yeah. Well, the broken watches, right? Twice a day as well. So that's what I want to talk about today. I do see early signs that concern me. It's obviously very, very early. I have painful memories and scars, so I'm probably hypersensitive. We have to fix supply. We have to means test, because I want everybody to have a chance to get on the property ladder, but I want them to stay there. And I haven't seen enough to help people stay there. So those are the things I'm thinking about. Any closing thoughts?
No, except for that when you say that and say stay there, it just reminds me of all the stuff that's being put in place where it's like it's going to be impossible to foreclose and stuff. And it's just I just think we're setting a bad precedence. It's like free money to get you in, and then a bunch of stuff in place to where banks aren't allowed to foreclose. That's just not how natural markets function. Having the backstop and all the things in place doesn't allow the proper functions to work. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I better stop myself before I rant on.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, do me a favor. If you are in the market in California to buy a home or refi a home, you've got to check out Matt, the mortgage guy. How do you want them to reach out? How do you want them to reach out?
Go over to my channel, Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube, and check out some of that stuff. Tons of stuff for folks who are either investors, owner occupants, buying a house. I try to put out a bunch of good mortgage content that just relates to the mortgage market. If you got specific questions and you're buying or refinancing in California, Matt, M-A-T-T, at mattthemortgagiguy.com. I can't tell you, Mike, how much awesome feedback I've got. Thank you and Mike so much. Specifically to the Wednesday stuff on this channel. People are just like, I've been a big fan of Mike's for a long time. I follow One Until Time. I enjoy your guys' conversations. I literally had one of those conversations this morning. That's where awesome. It was, once I answered the question, then it was 2 minutes of just like, let me tell you how awesome you are. And okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, you are one of my experts. So we do this every Wednesday at 9:30. I appreciate you, man. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.